Matey, I do believe that be a live ship I spy in the distance, and my new favorite book. Welcome back to the channel, Book Dragons. I'm really glad you're here. I am about to tell you about my new favorite book of the year. But before I do that, make sure that you like, subscribe, join my Discord, support me in other ways if you so choose. All the options are down in the description below. With that being said, let's get right to the book review for today, okay? I am relatively new to the realm of the Elderlings by Hobb. I recently finished the Farseer trilogy a couple of months ago, and I liked it. It was a great series. It had some hang-ups for me that kind of made it a little bit lackluster in some parts, but overall it was good. And I've been told by everybody that the Live Ship Traders is really where the series starts to shine. So I was super excited to get to Live Ship Traders, and the first book is Ship of Magic. That's the book we're going to be talking about today. And if this book is any indication of what everybody says being true, then I am so there for it. This book has everything that I love in a good novel. Great character work, awesome locations, monsters, magic, weird elements, everything. And it blew me out of the water. So, what is Ship of Magic about? Ship of Magic is a nautical fantasy created by the amazing author Robin Hobb. This is the first book in her Live Ship Traders series. And it takes place in a seaport named Beantown. The primary occupations in this town takes place aboard ships. So you have your trader families, which are more or less the lifeblood of the community because they bring in all the precious jewels, and they bring in food and unique items from different places that they've traveled. And then you have your slave ships, which in Beantown, slavery is technically forbidden, but there's ways to get around that. And so there are ships that pull into Beantown and travel to different areas around this world, transporting slaves and selling slaves and buying slaves. And you can imagine the level of filth on these slave ships is second to none. It's just absolutely disgusting, because you're trafficking in humans, right? So everything that goes with that you can possibly expect, you're gonna find on a slave ship. And then you've got your whaling vessels, or I mean they deal in other sea life as well, but primarily whalers. And so that's the other main type of commerce that comes into this particular area. And then of course, what seafaring adventure would be complete without pirates? There are pirates in this story, and I love the pirates. I'm so there for it. Yes! The pirates in this story are so great. And of course, you know, they start off the story with the typical, we're going to raid the ships of the nobility, so we're going to raid the trade vessels and plunder all of their wealth and everything. But then this one pirate who has it in his mind to be king of the pirates is convinced that he will win the most people to his cause if he starts attacking slave ships. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of ways that can interweave into the story. You can probably already guess how that's going to go about. I'm not going to get into any spoilers here, but needless to say, the stuff hits the fan very quickly. So one of the unique elements of this world is live ships, and that's where the series gets its name, is the live ships. And the live ships are made of this unique type of material called wizard wood. And nobody necessarily knows exactly how wizard wood came about, what its origins are. But if somebody happens to be able to carve wizard wood, at some point in its life, the wizard wood can come alive. And that's where you get the live ships. One particular live ship in this story is owned by the Vestrit family, and it goes all the way back to Grandmother Vestrit, who is basically the captain of the live ship Vivacia. In all the portraits, it kind of makes it look like her husband is the main captain of the ship, because this is a society that frowns on women doing pretty much anything. But if all the tales are true, she was the primary captain of the vessel, and she ruled the roost. She commanded the sailors. And so the Vestrit family took out enormous debt to be able to commission the building of a live ship. And live ships are important because they can sail into the Rainwild territories, into places that most people would not be able to go if they are piloting regular ships. But live ships have an innate sense of direction and being able to navigate the treacherous waters of the Rainwilds. So this is the world we come into. It is loosely connected to the Farseer trilogy. There are name drops for the Six Duchies. There are name drops for some of the events that happened at the end of the Farseer trilogy. So you do get some correlation there. It is in the same world, but it's very, very different. The Farseer trilogy was all written from a first-person perspective. You get everything from Fitz's point of view. This is a multiple POV third-person narrative. And I actually kind of like that better in most respects. I like first-person narratives, but third person is kind of really where it's at for me. I enjoy that the most. So that's a little bit about this story. Now let's talk about the characters, because this is where the real meat of the story takes place. So you have the Vestrit family. Early on in the story, the patriarch of the Vestrit family, who has been the captain of the live ship Vivacia for decades, suddenly turns ill and takes a turn for the worst. And so everybody is kind of scrambling, trying to figure out how the succession is going to happen. His youngest daughter, Althea, has the deepest connection with the live ship, and all of this time she's assuming that she is going to be given the captaincy of the live ship once her father passes. But there are other people that are vying for that position, namely her brother-in-law, Kyle Haven, who... Kyle Haven, I'll tell you guys right now, is a horse's ass. He is just one of those characters that you absolutely love to hate. He is extremely, extremely well written, but he is such an ass to everybody. If you think of the pinnacle of male chauvinism, he is that. I mean, the way he treats his wife, the way he treats his daughter, the way he treats his mother-in-law, the way he treats women in general is just abhorrent. But every time he's on the page, you're just waiting to see, okay, what's Kyle gonna do now? What else can we hate Kyle for? He's just one of those characters, and he's so well written. She just makes you want to hate Kyle Haven more. It's amazing. So Kyle, having married into the family, because of this society that frowns on women being in any position of authority, he is kind of being promoted as the person who will captain the live ship Vivacia once the patriarch passes. And I'm saying the patriarch because I can't remember his name offhand right now, so I don't know why. But you'll find out when you read the book, so go read the book. Yeah, Kyle is pompous, egotistical, and he's just absolutely sure that he is going to rule the roost once his father-in-law passes on. So we come into this story learning more about him, learning more about his relationship with Althea. She's just at the age where she's not quite at the cusp of being able to come into a position of authority if they wanted her to. So I think she's right around 16, 17 at this point in the story, but she is just absolutely sure that she is going to be given control over the life ship once it comes to life. And that is possibly very much on the horizon, because the way Wizardwood works is it only takes a certain amount of deaths, a certain amount of blood from the owners to bring Wizardwood to life. So the live ships, it takes 3 generations dying to activate a live ship to bring it to life. And so her father, if he dies, is the last of those 3 generations. So if he dies, that ship is going to come to life. And so she's not wanting her father to die, right? But she's also at a point where she realizes that inevitably she's going to come into possession of the ship, or at least that's the plan in her mind. But her sister Kefria is the older sister. She's married to Kyle. They have kids that can eventually maybe take over the live ship as well. So Kefria is kind of caught in a war between trying to please her husband and trying to do what's right for her family. And the more things progress, she starts to realize what an ass her husband is, but she's kind of stuck at this point. She doesn't know what to do about it. There's inevitably going to be some scheming that goes on between the women of the Vestrit household. And so I won't say any more about that, because, it's just something you'll have to find out for yourself. One of the Vestrit grandchildren, one of the Haven children, is Wintro. He starts off the story in a monastery, training to become a priest of the deity Sa. And he comes home because he hears that his grandfather is on his deathbed, so he wants to be there with the family. And then when he gets home, all hell breaks loose. Tensions arise between himself and his father, because his father hates all this religion business, and he wants Wintro to take his place as the man of the family, and sending him off to be a priest dedicated to Sa was all his mother's stupid idea. And just all this stuff starts happening, and all this infighting and tension and family politics, and it's so good, guys. It just, oh my God, I love it. I mean, you don't love it, but she makes you just want more and more and more. It's absolutely amazingly done. And then there's also Malta Haven, the epitome of the strong-willed child. She's 13 when the story starts out, and she knows how to play her father like a fiddle. And I'm there for it every minute. She wants to be older than she is. She wants to take on more responsibility, and she just ends up clashing with her mother and her grandmother so hard, and trying to work her father and her mother against her. So over here, Kyle's always talking about he doesn't approve of women being an authority, but he'll do almost anything for his little girl. And it's just the dichotomy there is just so fun to watch. And Malta is definitely a character to watch in this series. Oh my goodness. The things that happen to her, just be prepared. Lots happens. There's also Brashen Trell. He is the dishonored and disinherited son of a prime trader family. And when the story starts off, we find him on the Vivacia as one of the crew, working under Captain Vestrit, and he tries to help keep Althea out of trouble, and tries to keep himself out of trouble as well. Kyle Haven just does not like Brashen, so you can imagine all the tension on board the ship at this point in time. And then we have the pirates, my favorite of which is Captain Kennett. He has his sights on being the king of the pirates when the pirates really don't have a king, right? They don't want to be ruled over. They don't want anybody to control them. They're anarchists, right? That's the very definition of being a pirate, and yet he has his sights on becoming some kind of ruler over the pirates, even if it's loosely and only in name. And to see the lengths that he is willing to go to make a name for himself. and he has a wizard wood trinket that is tied to his wrist that is very unique. We'll just say that. And you just have to read the book to find out more about that. But yes, he is a fascinating character and just a really amazing and fun pirate. And he doesn't get a ton of chapters in the book like some of the other characters do, but the chapters that do focus on Kenneth are very, very intentionally driven. Robin Hobb is giving you just enough about Kenneth to wet your whistle for what's going to come in the future. Another fun character is Amber. She is an artisan specializing in wood. It's not really clear whether she can carve wizard wood or not, but I personally think maybe she can. I just don't know. I will say you don't find that out in this book, but there's some interesting things that happen with Amber, and we'll just leave it at that. There are also the live ships, and these are some of the most fun characters in the story. And one thing you should know about live ships is the masthead or the very forefront of the ship is carved in the likeness of a human, either male or female. And one of the live ships that is featured in this story is Vivacia. She is an absolutely amazing live ship. Her character is so well written, and she's got such a unique personality. One of my absolute favorite characters in the story. I love her wit. I love the way she protects those that she cares about and learns to not stand for any nonsense. So she is really amazing. There is also Paragon, and he is also nicknamed the Pariah because he's been on dozens of voyages, and every time he goes out on a voyage, it seems that his entire crew comes back dead, and so he has been labeled a mad ship. It is said that he has gone completely crazy, and they have beached him. He's no longer allowed to sail, and people walk around in fear of Paragon. And so getting to know Paragon in this story was absolutely just a highlight of this story. And then, of course, you have the mysterious people of the Rainwilds. They feature very heavily in this story. There are some debt situations between the people of Beantown and the Rainwild traders that we don't learn a whole lot about, but we learn enough that it just keeps making you want to know more and finding out what's happening and how this all came about. And there's one particular incident in the book, I'm not going to say any more about it, but it just leaves me so excited to get into the second book. I'm just fascinated by the Rainwild people right now. So as far as the magic goes, I've kind of already talked about the magic. There is a special connection between the owners of live ships and the ships themselves. Live ships will only sail under their owners or under family members of their owners. That's one of the peculiarities. So whoever purchased the live ship owns it for a lifetime because the live ship will only sail for them and their descendants. And part of that magic is, as you probably guessed, blood magic. So it's the deaths of the family members that eventually bring the live ships to life. And so there's a blood bond there between the ships and their owners. So that's the primary magic. There is the magic of carving wizard wood as well, which not a whole lot is said about that right now. And there's also the mysterious magic of the Rainwild people, which seems to deal more in dreams and glamours, and I'm there for it. I can't wait to see more. Yeah, more to come on that. So obviously for me, there is no doubt that this is in my top tier. This book soared for me. It absolutely blew me away. I did not find one single flaw in this book, at least not that I remember. But at the end of the book, I was like, this book is perfect. There's nothing like it. And it is absolutely my favorite book of the year so far. So guys, have you read Ship of Magic? Have you read the rest of the Live Ship Traders? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have not, what are you waiting for? And you could technically start with the Live Ship Traders if you're picking up Robin Hobb for the first time. I wouldn't recommend it because there are like those little name drops and things from the Farseer trilogy, but you could get away with starting with this series if you're wanting to just get into a nautical fantasy written by Robin Hobb. Yeah, you could, but I definitely recommend reading Farseer first. But if you've read Farseer and you haven't gone beyond that, you need to read the Live Ship Traders. I'm just saying. I'm done with my gushing. Let me know in the comments what you think. Guys, make sure you read more books. I'll talk with you soon.